You look around this neighborhood on the edge of Lake Santa Fe, this historic location of Florida. One of the first settlements and the very first plantation ever established in the territory of Florida back in the 1850s. You look around at all the invasive plants and wonder. So today I'll be removing some of those invasive species from around our house as we plant new gardens and use Spanish moss as a mulch. One of the things that one of Florida's earliest crops that was harvested for lining and well, mattresses and automobiles and their seating, but it was a commodity that has kind of been forgotten and has been burned lately in yard refuse piles that are being burned, and it creates a lot of smoke, a lot of black smoke. The Spanish moss does. So we're finding new uses for it and trying to educate others about how we might return to a more ecological way of surviving in this paradise. A few miles from here in Windsor on Noonan's Lake, a friend of mine discovered over 100 dugout canoes that had sank and it had stayed on the bottom of the lake for over 100 years. You can imagine these shorelines were inhabited by the indigenous people of Florida for thousands of years prior to our arrival. So we're walking up onto the back side of the historic family home of one of the Earl family members. It's known as Lady Earl's house, the daughter of the plantation owner. The Earl family that settled here in the 1850s. Just absolutely gorgeous specimen. Probably one of the earliest homes ever established here in Florida. And we're coming up on the backside of the Earl house, where the stables used to be, and where I am staying now. That building with the loft apartment above the garage is formerly, well, it's the exact footprint of the stables that existed there before. And I live in the loft. So as we look around, we can see everything from China berries to Boston ferns, some beautiful beauty berries. And we have our sago palms and palms, a Japanese magnolia, which is not blooming anymore. Known to bloom 3 times a year. A lot of citrus around the yard. These are the gardens that I am reclaiming. You can see all these elephant ears here. Just massive. They'll die with the first frost. And these will last and survive through the frost, so we're not going to mess with them. They're also really difficult to screw with. But a Japanese maple here. And either put in a garden here or use some of the soil to at least work with this raised bed that we just put in here. This was filled with Boston ferns and I reclaimed it right before the storm. And we got some basil growing right now, but not much. We need to get some food growing here, some edible gardens. Keep us happy and healthy.